Hello and welcome back to the MMA Bar. Today we're going to discuss the recent announcement of arguably the most anticipated UFC fight this year, the tale of the matchup, and what to expect in this fight. The fight we've all been waiting for is finally here. The long-awaited clash between reigning UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya and surging contender Alex Pereira is finally on the books. A rivalry that started in kickboxing will continue in the UFC, and Israel Adesanya will get his shot at revenge in one of the world's most iconic arenas, the Maddison Square Garden. Israel, the last stylebender Adesanya, will take on former Glory kickboxing champion Alex Pereira in the main event of UFC 281 on November 12th at Maddison Square Garden in New York. The announcement was made on ESPN's Friday afternoon edition of SportsCenter. Adesanya has yet to lose in MMA's middleweight division. The last stylebender won UFC gold with a thorough demolishing of Robert Whittaker in late 2019, and he has since made 5 successful defenses against Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa, Marvin Vettori, Whittaker in a much closer rematch, and most recently Jared Cannonier at UFC 276. Knocked out and outpointed the last stylebender across 2 bouts during their time in kickboxing. Adesanya is unbeaten at middleweight in mixed martial arts, his sole loss having been an unsuccessful light heavyweight title shot in 2021. Speaking on the fight, Adesanya said on ESPN, "Have I ever shied away from a fight? I've always picked the guy no one wants to fight. The guy everyone runs from. I run towards the fire. This is no different. After he beat me in Brazil, I never had plans on getting revenge or anything like that because I don't hold on to things. But the universe has presented this to me. It's right there." With Adesanya being a very dominant champion, many have started to get bored of his title reign. To beat Izzy's champion reign, many fans are putting their confidence in the new superstar, Pereira. The Brazilian is one of the few individuals who has fought and beaten Izzy in the past, which gives fans something to count on. Pereira lost his MMA debut in 2015, won a couple fights in 2016, then stuck with kickboxing until making the switch back to MMA in 2020. He earned a UFC contract after a devastating KO of Thomas Powell at LFA 95, and it's taken the Brazilian just 3 appearances inside the octagon to earn a title shot. Poatan wiped out Andreas Michailidis with a flying knee, then took a hard-fought decision over Bruno Silva. Pereira is coming off his most impressive win in the UFC, the first-round knockout of Sean Strickland, incidentally on the undercard of UFC 276 last month that was headlined by Adesanya. The Brazilian striker has 5 finishes in 6 career MMA victories since transitioning from kickboxing and is undefeated in his 3 UFC fights with 2 $50,000 performance of the night bonuses. The Brazilian said after UFC 276 that he was looking forward to a potential bout against Adesanya. "He's going to have to look better next time. If he looks like that, it's no good. He's been watching my development. He knows I'm dangerous. He knows the risk he would be taking. He will have to look better for sure. He'll look better and I'll make him get the fans thrilled." Adesanya's 7th consecutive title defense at Maddison Square Garden will be another opportunity to get the better of Pereira after being beaten twice by the Brazilian in their kickboxing days, including one via a scary knockout. Adesanya and Pereira clashed for the first time at Glory of Heroes 1 in Shenzhen, China in 2016, with the Brazilian winning via unanimous decision, which was hotly disputed by Adesanya and MMA fighters like Stephen Thompson. On their first kickboxing fight, UFC welterweight Stephen Thompson said, "I did not see that at all. I did not see Alex winning that. That was definitely an Izzy fight. What were the judges looking at? I have no idea." Adesanya had a second bite at the Brazilian cherry at the 15th edition of the Glory of Heroes in Sao Paulo, Brazil, but ended up biting off more than he could chew as the fight ended in a much worse fate, with the last stylebender being knocked out with a left hook in the 3rd round despite dominating his opponent until that point. The loss also marked his first and only knockout loss in combat sports, spanning over 100 fights. However, with the octagon at the MSG set to be their latest dancing stage, Adesanya is convinced he will prevail this time around, and he was quick to call out his rival after defeating Jared Cannonier in the main event of UFC 276 in Las Vegas on July 3rd. Adesanya said, "Look, we know who's next. That Poatan Puha. The first time I told you it was an error on my part, spamming right hands, and that was in kickboxing. But like I said at the press conference, the next time I put you on skates, you are going to get frozen like Elsa." With their Grudge trilogy now official, Adesanya expectedly is taking up the revenge ploy of the fight he describes as ordained by destiny. Adesanya said things will be much different this time in their 3rd fight. He said, "Those fights are part of his history because the judges gave him the nod in the first one, and in the next one, he took me out in the 3rd round. That's part of his story, but now it's time for my story. For me, it's the gloves. You can't guard the same way you guard in kickboxing in MMA. You have to be able to use your brain and move out of the shots. Also, my striking style is a lot different. I can elbow, I can use my knees, I can get in the clinch and stay in the clinch. There's a lot more that is different in this game. Well, Pereira does not agree with him. He said, well, Adesanya's comments make me confused, because with those two fights and the knockout, he claimed the gloves to be a pillow. But now we talk about 4-ounce gloves. It is a deadly weapon, but if the big pillows already make him leave on the stretcher with an oxygen balloon on him, imagine what's going to happen with 4-ounce gloves. For their last fights, Israel Adesanya and Poatan fought on the same fight card at UFC 276. The middleweight champion failed to impress the crowd, but Pereira gauged everyone's attention. The last stylebender dominated UFC 276. However, fans have declared the middleweight champion boring, and the masses were witnessed walking out of the stadium while the match was happening. On the other hand, in the same fight card, Alex Pereira knocked down Sean Strickland and earned the hearts of the audience. While Israel Adesanya stands as the undisputed middleweight champion with an undefeated streak in the division, he is revered as an upcoming GOAT of UFC. The Nigerian sprinted over his opponents and rose to fame when he defeated UFC's longest title defense, reigning champion Anderson Silva, who was also his long-term idol. He had a massive kickboxing record before entering professional MMA. However, Alex Pereira stands as the only person in the combat universe to have knocked down Israel Adesanya and finished him. While Poatan does hold a knockout win over Adesanya when the two met under the Glory banner back in 2017, mixed martial arts is a completely different animal. Pereira will have to be at his absolute best to become the first fighter to defeat Adesanya at 185 pounds in MMA. Adesanya also took to his official Twitter handle to announce the fight and reveal his intentions about the fight. Izzy mentioned that he is going to take his revenge against Pereira and it will end at UFC 281. He tweeted, "Book and Devilface #UFC 281. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Bro, I said the same thing too. This ends here. Kill or be killed." When asked about the fight, UFC President Dana White said, "When you're sitting here in my position, you can't give too many guarantees. I can say stylistically on paper this should be, or we feel this is gonna be. I fucking guarantee you, I absolutely positively guarantee you that the next fight that Israel Adesanya fights will be batshit nuts." Earlier this month, it was announced that a lightweight tilt between former UFC title challengers Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler is also expected to take place at UFC 281 this November. If that's the case, the upcoming PPV event at MSG is already turning into one of the best fight cards of 2022. Thank you for watching the video. That's all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.